Oh man, I bought all these rye berries, but they take almost an hour to cook. Not only that, it takes almost 45 minutes just to eat a bowl of them because they take so long to chew. I don't got time for that. It's time to build that grain mill my brother's been harassing me about for years.
greensandmachines.com. We begin the grain mill build with the outer housing. I decided to make this from some scrap pieces of half-inch thick stainless steel. The first step was to square up all the sides of the pieces in the milling machine. Next, I drilled screw and dowel holes in the side pieces. These are for attaching and aligning them together. Then the corresponding screw and dowel holes were drilled in the end pieces. Here is how the four housing pieces fit together. The next step was to create the bores and the slots for the bearings. Here the dimensions have been worked out. First, rough drilling the bore and slot locations with the large drill. Next, plunge cutting most of the material out for the slots, using a half-inch carbide end mill. Then finishing the slot clearance. After that, the slot step was milled. This is where the movable roller's bearings will ride in. Then for the fixed roller, machining the bores for its bearings. And here's how both bearings fit in. I noticed a lot of chatter when machining the first bore, so I switched to a larger boring head and a carbide boring bar for the next one. The resulting finish was significantly better than the original high-speed steel bar. Mounting holes were then drilled in the top and bottom of each piece. These will be used to attach a hopper on top and to secure the grain mill to a base on the bottom. Lastly, drilling and tapping some holes for the spacing adjustment screws. Now we will discuss the rollers. Design-wise, one roller is fixed and the other is movable to allow the spacing adjustment for different sizes of grain and nuts. The fixed roller would have the driving handle attached to it, and for this reason it would need a longer shaft. Therefore, I decided to make this one in two pieces, while the movable roller has the shaft built in. The fixed roller is secured about the bearings with set screw collars, while the movable roller is held in through bolts through either end. We begin with the movable roller. Firstly, turning one end and roughing in the diameter for the bearing. Then tapping a 3/8 16 hole in the end. Then the part was flipped around, rough turned and tapped again, and this time the bearing diameter was finished to size. After that, the part was flipped around again. I then finished the other bearing diameter and the roller diameter in the same setup to ensure the best concentricity. Now for the fixed roller. Firstly, roughing one end, then flipping it around, rough turning the other end, and rough drilling the center hole. Next, I bored the center hole to an accurate dimension around 740 thousandths. I then began turning the shaft for the fixed roller from some 3/4 inch round stock. First finished turning the bearing diameter for the end where the handle will be attached. Then the part was flipped around, and chucking on the bearing diameter, the outer diameter was machined to match the bore of the roller. I also finished machining the other bearing diameter in this setup. Here checking the rollers to make sure they fit within the housing. I made sure there was at least 30 thousandths of clearance on either side. For attaching the fixed roller to the shaft, I didn't want to drill set screw holes through the face of the roller because then they'd get grain stuck in them. I also didn't want to weld it. What I ended up deciding on was diagonal set screw holes through the ends of the roller. Using this diagram that looks like a problem from a trigonometry textbook, I calculated the dimensions and angle that would fit the best. I started by setting up the roller in the milling machine vise with a 45-degree triangle. I then plunge cut the set screw location with a 1/4 inch end mill. Afterwards, I drilled and tapped the hole for a 1/4 20 set screw. Here are the roller and shaft with the set screw fit in. I then noted where the set screw contacted with the shaft, and then milled diagonal set screw flats at the corresponding locations. I then milled the flats for the set screw collars on either end of the shaft. I then secured the fixed roller onto the shaft and then finished turned and knurled both rollers. Looking good. One more final step. Wire brushing off all the little bits of metal that were left behind by the knurling. Don't want to be eating that in my rye. Alright, now that the rollers and housing have been completed, a few more articles need to be attended to before assembly can begin. Firstly, we'll look at the handle. I found this big cast iron handle at a garage sale for $2, and it seemed like the perfect candidate for this build. However, it needed a hole tapped in the side for a set screw to secure it to the fixed roller shaft. Here I've tapped the hole for the 7/16 set screw. Since the shaft was smaller than the hole in the handle, I had to make an adapter to fit it over. So I turned one in the lathe from some scrap piece of 3/4 inch stock. Next I drilled a hole through the side of the adapter as a window for the set screw. I then had to file out the square in the handle because it wasn't exactly 3/4 inch diameter. This was fairly easy because the cast iron was soft. Now for the set screw collars which secure the fixed roller about the bearings. I turned these in the lathe from some scrap material, boring the shaft diameter through them. Next, tapping the set screw hole in the side. One more hang-up I had before assembly was possible. The bearings for the movable roller had this small step on the inside, preventing them from fitting over the shaft all the way. Since this was hardened material, my only option was to grind it down with my handheld grinder. And now, after a thorough scrubbing with acetone, soap, and water, the grain mill is ready to assemble. Looking good. The next order of business was to construct a hopper to hold the grain to be milled. I decided on a one-piece folded design made from a scrap stainless steel trash can. Here I am cutting out the flat pattern with aviation snips, and also punching holes in some of the corner locations. Most of the bending was done on this brake. The rest of the bending was easily done with hand pliers since the material was so thin. I secured the hopper together with this double-hemmed seam. This eliminated the need to rivet it together entirely. Here's a view from the top. It didn't come out perfectly rectangular, but pretty darn close for the amount of precision I used. And here's the hopper placed on top of the grain mill, just before I drilled the mounting holes. Now for the two pieces that I call the hopper shields. These are pieces which prevent the grain from falling through the wrong way. Using the same trash can stainless, I cut a couple pieces to fit over the gaps. I then bent them at an angle to seal up the gap, and drilled clearance holes for the hopper mounting screws, here using a hand Whitney punch for the holes. And here's an inside view with the hopper and the hopper shields assembled. Now for the base. My original plan was to bolt it to a piece of wood which then could be clamped to my Dutch oven. What I later found out was the sheer amount of force required to operate the grain mill made it impossible to hold the Dutch oven still. I then tried clamping the piece of wood onto the edge of my desk, but the torque required ended up snapping it in half. My next recourse was to use the remaining half piece of wood and fabricate a stand with some other blocks of wood. This idea seemed to be the best one. Alright, and now we're ready for some grain.